Okay, I think Una
You
will tell you
okay. How when did this start?
We started in April 2013 was the actual launch, but we didn't move into here until the summer.
Right.
And that was because I don't know whether you remember this building, but it had a hole in the roof. It had been disused for, was it some 2 years?
Yeah.
Something like that. So, and then we had to find a way to refurbish it.
So this building is owned by the council?
It's owned by the council, but it actually, at the time, when we went to look, it actually wasn't even on the asset register. So, so now it is on the asset register.
Brilliant space.
But, yeah, absolutely. But we've had to, we had help from Wilmot Dixon to actually do some work and also Hansler Homes. Their staff came in and helped us because we had no money. So we, had to beg and borrow to get it done. But it's good now. I mean, it's.
And who came up with the idea of doing this?
What, this project?
Yeah.
I think it's one of those difficult things because everybody is saying, oh, well, they were interested in, and I think, in the council, obviously, Councillor Curran, I think, I mean, I have to give credit to him. He did actually give us
because this is his
core
patch,
funding.
isn't it?
Yeah, he did give us some core funding for the first year. So
that's good just for getting started. It's like if you're starting any sort of business or organisation, it's using that little bit to get going. Yeah,
but I think it was really a general commitment by the council, the officers and also all the other voluntary organisations that they needed someone and somewhere to be able to access to get food. So that's what we've had.
Right. And so, so you started back then, and then so how many people will use it now, or how many boxes?
Well, last year we had over 2,000 people. In December of this year, we had over 800 in 1 month. So we're actually just finalising the figures, but I reckon this year we probably would have done between 2,500 and 3,000 people.
Right, wow. And and how different are you to a food bank?
We're different in the fact that one of our key things is we're always saying we actually want to get rid of poverty. So we're very much about campaigning, supporting and that. We give out food, but that's only one element of what we do. What we like to do is spend time giving people advice and support. We're doing training here. We actually have 40 odd volunteers that come in here and work as well. We've got students doing as part of their studies. So what we're trying to do is say, okay, food's important, but if we can help people get new skills to get back into work, and that's where we want our drive to be. So we are different in that, and we're trying to build up our corporate responsibility work with all the other private organisations like GSK and that sort of thing. So.
Excellent. If you ever need help with that, let me know. Because
I would love some
because I know lots of the businesses, so I can introduce you to them.
I was going to ask you about
we'll talk about it more later on.
When films on.
So that's great. And how do people find out about you? Do they get referred at all?
Yes, I mean there are over 150 referral partners, and they're the people who determine. They're the professionals in their different areas, whether they're GPs or housing officers or whatever. So they're the ones that determine that person's in need, because we don't make that determination. So we've never turned anybody away.
So somebody can actually just come in almost off the street if they know about you?
No.
No, they can't, right.
Because what we do is, one of the things that we found at the early stages was that when people come to you, they don't really, it's not like going off to a nice outing, is it? So we try to give people that personal touch. So everybody has an interview, has an appointment, so that if you arrive here, you're not going to meet half your friends coming in as well. So it's about keeping that dignity and respect for individuals. So we looked at some other projects where they have just an opening time and anybody can turn up. Well, actually, that wouldn't be very fair. We are based in a residential area.
So you have to manage the numbers of people.
Yeah, that's right. So there's that aspect as well.
Yeah, that's a nice way of looking at it, because it is nice to sort of retain sort of dignity within it, and also the personal touch then that goes with it if you're seeing them and you're making an appointment.
It gives us that chance, to
get to know them.
And you can either offer them a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, sit down, talk to them about, and often you will find that they need to be directed to some other services, whether it's to get school uniform or whatever. There's different elements.
Because I guess, I mean, I've had situations where I've had people come to me in a surgery and say, I've no food this weekend.
Well, you could refer them
so
to
I
us.
could refer them to you.
Absolutely.
On one of those occasions, I was due at the Civic Centre anyway, and I met with Mary Hartley, and I said, Mary, can you help? And she gave me some Tesco vouchers.
Yeah.
So I dropped them off at the house. But but that's really useful to know that.
No.
And would we then email or phone you and say we've got someone who wants to?
What we can do is, and what we give to our referral partners is, we'll give you the referral pro forma. So all you need to do is, if you keep that, just fill it in and then email it to us. And
and I think that's probably useful to do. I mean, I don't get lots.
But if you get something,
it's useful to know that I can get that.
And we don't just
What sort of circumstances, the ones you've had come into your surgery, have they been?
I mean, it's people, I just think, who find themselves, it's not necessarily a long-term issue, it's often just a short-term issue, that they've been waiting for benefits or something's gone wrong with the timing. So it's more a cash flow problem in getting things, and I can certainly help them again with sometimes on the benefits front and rushing, trying to get something through. But where I suddenly went, what do I do in terms of helping them get food for the children at the weekend? And especially if it's benefits over a weekend, you're not going to get any movement there. So it's usually that short-term cash flow, often linked to a change in benefits or some nature, that means that they need some immediate help.
That's right.
And therefore they're always very distressed about it, because they are, especially if they've got children, because they're saying, how do I feed my children right here and now this morning?
People aren't used to being in that situation, are they?
Yeah.
So they're suddenly put into a position they don't even know where to go for that support.
Yes. So that's great to know that we could work together on that, because it's always nice to say we've got a solution.
Absolutely.
Did you not know about it?
At the time, probably not, when we were dealing with those cases. And as I say, it so happened I was going to the Civic Centre that afternoon. What I would have done, I've got John from my team here, and what I would probably have done is phoned up my team and asked them to go and find out. And they would have either found out about you here, or they would have phoned the council and asked what to do. So I would hope, given that you've got so many referral partners, I would have thought that somebody would have said, that it'd be.
I'm sure the council would, because
but that's great. So it sounds like it's an incredible service you're doing. And then how do you get the items themselves?
Do you want to talk about that?
Well, we do have a number of people who stop you in the street and say, I'd like to make donations to Food Box. We have formal gatherings of food at places like Asda and Morrison's. And generally we have people who suddenly realise that Food Box is going and feel that they would like to contribute. Something.
And so some of the supermarkets support too?
Yeah, Morrison's are very supportive in Brentford, and Asda have been supportive since the whole project started.
And your catchment area here is the borough?
Whole borough.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there's quite a few supermarkets in the
And
that's good.
We're always willing to take from anybody. We had just before Christmas the Heston Rotary Club, who came up with a vast amount of stuff, including turkeys and things like that for Christmas, and they were all delivered in hampers, etc. Everybody was a winner, and they got the main bulk of their stuff from Iceland, which was very good. And Iceland threw in loads of selection boxes of chocolates to add to it all. So it was a Merry Christmas.
And there's some things that you get that you go, what can I do? What can I do with this? I guess you've always got to be careful. You've got to check for dates. And then I guess you can't take any perishables or
no, we can't
anything refrigerated items.
No, but we've been actually we did bend the rules a bit over the Christmas period because we had grocers and that phone us up and
Okay,
say,
turkeys,
saying, oh, we've got vegetables, we've got fruit,
absolutely.
And we knew we had the footfall. So in order not to contravene our licence, we didn't actually bring them on the premises, and we shipped them out. But I think it's made us think a bit more about, very much about more healthy eating, because if we look at our non-perishable foods, they're actually quite high in carbohydrates,
and sugar,
and sugar, and we need to move away from that. So we are thinking about, do we need to relook at our licence to give fresh foods as well?
And we do tend to advise people on the kinds of stuff that we need. For example, earlier we had sort of the baked bean glut, where we had more baked beans than Tesco's and Asda put together. So we prepare a little list saying the things that we're short of, and it's amazing how everybody manages to say, yes, here's something that you're short of, and here's a little bit of extra as well, just to keep you going.
And do you find it's people who come for a short period to, or do you call them clients, or do you call them clients? Yeah. Do they come for a short period, or do you have some people who've been coming for months? Or
yeah, we've had some that have come maybe 12 times in a year. We might, but the majority, I think, come between 1 and 4 times probably, if we looked at the stats.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But we don't turn people away, because the thing is, if you've got a problem and you've got a debt problem or anything else like that, it's not going to be suddenly corrected, is it? So we understand, we'd much prefer to give people food and know that they're actually going to go and pay their rent or their mortgage.
Yes.
You know, so that's about making sure people keep a home over their head.
Yeah, it's very important. And then in each box, does it just depend what you've in and what you get in terms of what you put in each box that you give?
Well, Jane is usually the one who sets the boxes up, and she will look at the dietary needs and any allergy items and things like that for each individual. So what happens normally is that for an individual person, we would provide, I think it's 3 days basic food, and then for a family it would be a larger box to make sure that they can get through for a short space.
Yeah, maybe an example. This is going to be going out to a family in Chiswick today, and that's for a
non-meat eater.
Right.
And it's a lady with 2 teenagers. So we just put some bits together. She did eat tuna, but the majority is pulses and rice and pasta and.
Yeah, so there's a good. There's a really good mix and some breakfast items as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're obviously got our Christmas leftovers, so we make it.
Good,
so we're treating
and she needs
personal
toiletries. Yeah. Well, it's brilliant. Really, really good. It's an amazing amount of people that you help.
Absolutely.
Over time, how it's sort of grown.
Yeah, and it's probably the clients that people don't imagine that would be coming to us, but it's a lot of the people that come to us are people who have either just suddenly lost their job, or they've started a new job and they're waiting that month to get their salary and things like that.
Yeah.
It's and we're getting a few more.
So some of them you're almost stopping them getting into the real poverty trap.
Absolutely.
Because you're just helping them keep afloat, and then.
That's right. So crisis doesn't happen. That's what we want to
preventing
do.
Crisis.
Yes, because once you get into crisis, then it takes that much longer to recover, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But we did find at Christmas we had people being in hospital, them being discharged. Obviously, they were very full, the wards, so they needed people to move. So those people were being left and then sent home, and because they were being sent home whilst and their benefits are being stopped, of course, so we were able to provide them with food to cover them over that emergency period. So yes, we are very much like, I think we're part of the emergency service now, I think. Okay.
You just need your blue light.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
and people, they always come and pick up, or do you ever drop off if there's...
We do home deliveries.
With disabilities or...
Yeah, for those who are elderly, those with mobility. Some also, with some young mums who've got a couple of children, it might be a bit difficult if they haven't got transport to come with a pram and everything else. So we do that. We don't do. We try to minimise, because obviously there's a cost implication there.
Yeah. So you talked about that a lot of the food will get given to you. In terms of other sort of donations and any sort of local or central government funding, do you get support in terms of money?
No, we would.
You would love it.
We would love it. And yeah, I mean, no, I think where the project.
You do help the first year, you said.
We had help for the first year, and I think where the project is now is we've got our awareness within the local area as regards getting food is very good. What we've got to do is we've actually got to generate some income to pay for the project. For instance, we've got obviously the utilities here. We haven't at this moment got funding, so we need to make sure we do that.
And do you have to pay an overhead for the building here?
We have a nominal rent to pay, but we've still got heating. We've still got to pay. We've still got to pay, volunteer expenses. And what there are still some basics within the building, like internet access, and that we need to get sorted.
Yeah, that's good. And you've got lots of volunteers. Yes. About 40 volunteers.
Over 40
volunteers. Brilliant.
Excellent.
And so, how have you managed to recruit them? I always think in the borough there's always lots of people who would probably love to volunteer for different projects that we have going in the borough, but often they just don't know how to. So you've obviously done a great job in stretching out to people.
I think this is about going out and talking to different organisations, but you find some people who have been to us and been supported when they've been in need, when they've then got themselves back on their feet, have come back and said, actually I would like to volunteer with you. You helped me out at that time. And that's really nice. And we've got some people who maybe through illness, maybe had a stroke. We've got one young guy, very lovely guy that comes in and helps with the stock, and he had a stroke, had to give up his well-paid job as a young child, but now comes into the project and he says, that's given him a whole new lease of life. Yeah. And we're delighted to be able to support that. So volunteers come from all sorts of backgrounds, but we are finding more and more through especially in the last few months with the campaign, there has been a lot more in the press about the food box, and so more people have come forward. Yeah.
Oh, very good. Well, it sounds like you've all done an amazing job. But it does become, as you get more successful, it becomes bigger and bigger, and therefore that's when you do need that extra support and funding and...
Yeah, I think to take it, to do the proper job that we want to do, which is not just provide food, but provide that wider service, especially where a lot of other voluntary organisations are not existing or able to cope. And that's why their funding or whatever might have been reduced, so they're then pushing their clients to us as well. So we just need to see what we can do to support.
Yes, because what you don't want to do is turn anyone away.
No, we've never turned anyone away, and we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Do you want to show Mary the food cupboard?
Yeah. Jane, do you want to show Mary your stores cupboard?
Yeah, sorry. We just had an influx of referrals coming.
Yeah, we've got people cupboard.
Some tea.
Yeah.
It's a bit skimmy now.
It's what, sorry?
There's a bit of a skin on it now.
You
might need a fresh one. Have a look and see what you think.
Thanks very much. It's just London water for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thames always tell me that it's good water, but...
Oh, lovely.
How would you like yours?
Just have a dash of it.
Johnny, you want some?
Oh, no, okay, thank you.
So I really like who did your sort of branding and
Cranford Community.
Oh,
we
did they?
did a competition with the school.
What a good idea.
Yeah.
So I think it's just it's very fresh. It's lovely looking.
Mm.
Give a little couple.
I'll give you a copy of our newsletter.
Oh, yes.
We have got a new one just about to go out, so you'll be able to hit our new newsletter.
You've managed to become looking incredibly professional and organised in the short time you've had. It's really great.
No, I mean, I think we've had a great group of people working with us. Jane, as you remember, Jane was made Volunteer of the Year.
Yes, I know. She? Yes, at the awards, Hanslow Award,
and there's only, it's through people like that, you know, giving their time and working with us. And Hugh, you know, a lot of experience from working with charitable organisations.
Yeah,
You know,
it is. But that's what it makes, you know, it makes the borough and communities feel so strong, because there's people like yourselves who will say, actually, we want to make life good for everyone in the borough, and for the people who just need a bit of help along the way, we're you know, there to support.
Well, Brentford in particular is a very community-based borough, and no matter what you do or where you go within Brentford, somebody will always say, I'd like to give you a hand on something, or I've got something that could be of use to someone else, and it all goes round and round, so it's
And that's
lovely.
why Brentford is brilliant.
Exactly. Yeah.
Writing to my slogans. So you've got a cupboard to show me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's like an old-fashioned larder. Pantry. We used to have a pantry at home.
It's a bit messy because we had so many donations at Christmas. Shelves were nowhere near as much as this, but people have been so generous. Look, I've got overflows there, and
Amazing.
I've got an overflow storeroom in my office.
Yeah.
That's why I'm sitting out there now, because I just can't get in the office.
Right, but that is good, because the thing is, even although it looks like you've got you know, quite a bit here, very soon, you know, if you've got lots of people coming, as you said, you've just had a real influx of referrals.
Just coming.
That will soon all go.
Yeah.
So it's,
well, it will do. I mean, this won't last forever. You know, I mean, we have, you know, this is in the process of putting it away.
Yeah.
Just before you came, but we have as you can see, quite a good stock of. Well, it is.
But this is such a, I think, a great way to communicate to kids as well, because you know, if they're being told about the sort of work that you do here, maybe they think twice, or say to their parents when they're throwing out food and saying, wait a minute, we shouldn't, you know, because we do, I mean, in all our homes when we throw out things and there's huge food wastage in this country.
Well, I've got quite a few kids that come in a couple of times a week from Head Start, doing that volunteer Duke of Edinburgh.
Duke of Edinburgh, that's really good.
So I've got them coming in, you know, load on a Saturday, so I come down and.
They must love it, you know, because it's, you know, something really practical. You can see how it's helping.
They do. They love it if I say, right, the cereal's going to come off, and we're going to sort out the dates, because things do get messed up.
Yeah.
Because some people just come in and put it. They don't think about dates, so periodically, it also gives the children something.
Yeah.
Well, they're not children; they're young adults, aren't they? And
but if they worked in a supermarket, they'd have to do the same, because the supermarkets tend to put the new dates at the front.
Yeah, they do. And then if you're anything like me, you'll go in there and
you'll
shift to the back yourself.
That's what I do.
And you know, so the old stock doesn't really rotate properly, but the supermarkets have to do it, and we have to do it here.
Yeah. So are you here several days a week, or
6, 7?
Oh my goodness.
I know, I'm sad.
But it was brilliant, because I think any project needs someone who absolutely is committed to it.
When we were up in Fraser House, of course, it was ideal for me. I just went downstairs and sorted it out, because now it's half an hour journey down here for me.
Yeah, because I thought it sort of started in the Green Dragon.
Yeah, it was. We used the meeting room there.
Right.
In Fraser House, so I think 1 or 2 of the pictures in there that are on the display.
Right.
Are actually pictures of the old meeting room at Fraser House that we used to use.
So you were involved right from the start?
Yeah. I've been involved since day one.
Yeah. Yeah. It must be great though to see how it's developed and grown over the time.
Eventually they'll get enough funding to pay a full-time member of staff, and I can retire.
I'm not sure you'd ever retire.
I don't think I ever would. I mean, I retired from work, 6, 7 years ago.
But you know, I always think doing things like this help keep you young. You know, because
it keeps me going.
Because it actually, there's a real objective and a point to what you get up for every morning.
As a vegetarian, become a couch potato. I mean, the television, daytime television is so boring.
Not good.
Yeah, I would go insane.
But whereas this, you're meeting lots of people, and it's you know, you're doing something to help lots of people. It's fantastic.
It can be frustrating at times. We get a lot of people in that, you know, some heartbreaking stories.
Yeah.
And then you get people crying all over you.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. You know, just to
sounds
see
like being an MP.
Yeah, that's true.
Can you tell Mary about some of the instances you've had, some of the cases you've had? Examples of...
Oh God, how many? Any particular thousands of different cases, which one?
Which ones do you remember most?
Yeah, I mean, there's people that are struggling because they can't afford to pay for food and pay for the heating, and that is a lot, especially this time of year.
Oh.
And that I'm getting more and more, and there's a lot of properties that... I had one woman in the other day who said it costs her £10 for 2 hours just to heat her flat.
Yeah.
And if she goes into her bathroom, it's like walking into the refrigerator.
And it is, because I had last winter, my boiler went off twice, and I suddenly realised how actually much you need heating, because it was perishing. I mean, it really was freezing inside.
But it is. But her bathroom's permanently like that anyway. And the rest of the flat, £10 for a couple of hours just to heat it.
Yeah.
And
when you add that up over, a week and a month, it's a lot.
She either eats or she keeps warm. She can't do both. And she can't get hot water, obviously, overheating and everything else. You can't afford to put the money on.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. I know it can be cold in this country, but I've been in colder countries. We're not that badly off, but I mean, I'm fortunate because I live with communal heating, so I don't have that problem.
But I also think it depends on your age as well. If you're young, a youngster, you probably can put up with a little bit of cold. But if you are more elderly, I would hate to think my mother, who's in her 80s, not being able to turn the heating on.
Yeah, well, this is it. But I don't know. But no, youngsters do feel the cold. I mean,
well, they do feel it. I just think maybe sometimes they're a bit more resilient. If they're.
I'm actually one of the opposite. I don't feel the cold so much, unless I'm really out there and it's freezing and I'm on my scooter and that, because I've got a mobility scooter out there. That does get cold.
Right.
Between here and Cubridge, it's freezing.
Jane, what sort of cases have you had in today, for instance?
Today, I'm afraid I can't talk about.
Okay. I don't want to identify anybody.
No, mainly, or one in particular, which I probably can say, is actually facing eviction. He is waiting for all benefits and everything to kick in. I suppose he's a young lad, 20, 24, something like that. He has been applying for the last 3 months that I know of for benefits and that, and for some reason it's going back and forth, and he's hitting a brick wall all the time, and he literally hasn't got anything.
I know we were talking earlier about being able to advise clients. Sometimes feel free, if you ever want to pick up the phone and talk to myself, or I may not be in the room, but John will be around, and there may be something we can do in terms of phoning up. To try and sort out benefits.
Young Chiswick lad, he lives up from Chiswick, Chiswick anyway, so he is in this.
So feel free just to drop us an email or to phone us and say, look, is there something you could do quickly to help? Because we may be able to turn it around in a bit of time. It may not, but you can't try. So feel free to send things our way if you're not sure about them.
Mary, after 5 years of government, are you disappointed that there's a need for something like this?
Well, I look at the work. I'm inspired by the work I see here, rather than sort of disappointed. So I'm inspired by the work that they're doing, because I think it's an incredible amount of work to help people when they're in need. And I do think at times, people will be in need in terms of they've lost a job, and that isn't necessarily something to do with government as such, but they've either lost a job or they're trying to chase their benefits, or there's something that they've found at one point in time they find themselves in need, or there's something about debt, or those are things where absolutely in an organisation like this they can help give them the advice and help them get just short-term support to get them back on track.
So you're not disappointed that this is necessary?
Well, I think that's sort of the wrong way of putting it, because I think there's always going to be people in society at some point in time who may be in need. And yes, in an ideal utopia, you'd hope that nobody would ever be in need. But I think that's unrealistic.
But shouldn't the government be doing what this is doing?
Well, it depends. I mean, what I was saying just now was, if there's a problem in benefits and I can try and help chase to get those benefits arriving earlier and on time, what a lot of times people just need the support and the help, short-term support and help, or they need advice to make that happen, or they need someone to fight their corner, which is what people like I can do.
in the Parliament, how have you voted regarding benefits, welfare benefits?
You can look at my record.
I have.
You can look at my record on that. So
Yeah.
you can tell for yourself that I've done it. I mean,
So how have you voted?
I've supported the changes in welfare,
Which is reducing.
which is about getting people into work, and that to me is always the most important thing. That's important.
Do you think any of those votes may have increased the need for something like this?
I think, well, if you only need to look at the numbers of people now in work, and that has massively increased. Our unemployment here locally in my half of Hounslow is 2%, and that's gone way down. So we've reduced unemployment by about 40% in the local area. So that is good. For me, the main thing in getting people out of poverty longer term is getting them into work, and that's what I've been pushing for. That's been one of my key aims.
But we keep hearing about benefits. It's the same problem keeps arising. Can't get the benefits. Benefits are delayed. Isn't that a government responsibility?
Yeah, but that bit is, I mean, it's not as simple as saying the government fault that the benefit's been delayed. There might be something about this on the application form that they need to fill in. They need support. They need some chasing. There's a whole range of scenarios around it. And as I say, it might be someone's gone into debt. There's a range of scenarios. What I realise, and I'm sure that you see in every case here, every single case is almost different.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their own personal, individual story. And what we're doing here in a partnership way is finding some way to support and help whatever that case is.
But I think everybody admires you for coming here, but you have repeatedly voted for reducing or controlling welfare benefits, haven't you?
But we've also got people into work. So that's, you can look at things in a number of different ways. What I feel very, very strongly is the way you support people long-term out of poverty is to help them get into work, build up their skills, their confidence, help support them getting into work. And where they can't work, absolutely yes.
Does this make you think again about the way you vote?
No, not at all, because I mean I'm inspired coming here and seeing the work that they've done and all the volunteers.
But done by not by the government.
No, but that's because it's not the government doesn't need to, crikey. You just see the inspirational work that's been done here. The government didn't need to say to you, do this. They started this here because they really cared about the community they live in. They cared about the people who live here. And
so you would still vote for cutting welfare benefits? I
still believe in what I did, because what I really believe in is that we need to get people into work and get them the confidence. By cutting
welfare benefits, you make people go to work. I mean, is that the logic?
If you actually, the key objective is getting them into work, so you do that. And what we've always said is you've got to make work pay. So we've taken 2 million people out of tax altogether, so the lowest paid out of tax, to try and get those people out of poverty and make sure that work pays. And for a while, I mean, I was having people coming to my surgeries and they were getting more on benefits than they would be if they were earning a job. So we had to change that type of scenario, because it's so much better for that individual to be working, if they've got the ability to do it, to be working rather than claiming benefits.
But we're not always talking about old people who wouldn't be in work anyway. We're talking about some people who cannot easily get a job. I mean, they're having difficulty getting a job. So we're not really talking about those, are we?
No, I do think, as I say, it's so difficult to go through every single scenario because it's so diverse. I mean, I went to see a lady who was at a food bank. It was domestic violence was the issue around her scenario. That's not something that the government can say that you can say the government did wrong. She was in an abusive relationship. Amazingly for her, she managed to get out of that, which takes a massive amount of courage. And then she found herself just needing support and help for that period of time. So, I don't, and the organisations that go and support people in those points of crisis, help them, signpost them to actually rebuilding their life again. It's just an incredible work that they do. And that's why I want to say, I will support those organisations that do that, and I'll help in any way I can.
But how? I mean, is the government going to get involved, or are they not going to get involved?
Well, it depends in ways. I mean, I don't think the government needs to be involved correctly. This is so well organised. The government doesn't need to get involved, you know, but where I can, you know, I can make contacts, I can build the relationships with local businesses, I can help spread the word, so that actually what you're building, making and creating that's stronger and stronger is a community organisation, you know, made for the community, built for the community, and it's people themselves who care about it, who live, who work here, who are all part of it, and that's what makes society strong. And then what we have is a society and a community that all are out there supporting, helping and working with one another, and that helps us create strong communities for the future.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Quite quickly about what you're doing here, which is really good. Because one day I was standing handing out my leaflets in the supermarket, and your box was sort of there's a stand right next to me of what you were doing. And I was listening to some parents talk to their children saying, "Oh, we must put something in there," and I just thought that's really spreading the word with the next generation.
Yes, we've done quite a lot of work with the local schools, and quite a few of the schools have put us forward as to get awards. So they've used our project to come and volunteer and then use it. So and that's all about raising awareness.
Yeah, because
that
does make a difference, especially when you're a new organisation starting and you want to grow, and you've really grown, which has been superb, but that sort of those things that really help. But I do think, you know, this is such a great example of where, you know, you've managed to set this up, do this, grow it all on your own.
Absolutely.
And then you've built your volunteers, your army out there to go and support, and then you've got the local community who are in wanting to play a part, and you know, and that's where, you know, it proves that actually you don't need government to solve all these solutions, because actually if you take it down to the local level in the community, people can do that for themselves. And what I want to do as part of government is to be able to say, you know, my task within this is to support you, is to help you in any way I can, and if that is spreading the word about what you're doing, helping you get support from the corporate sector, helping get support from other additional volunteers, and for me to use, you know, this as an example to others of, you know, what you are doing, because I think if more people hear about the work you're doing, then that will encourage other people to go and do other things like this.
Yeah, I would like to see that food banks are not just food banks solely as they are in many places, that they have a wider remit and they have a more holistic approach to helping people.
Yeah, I think that is a really important part of it, where you absolutely want to help people in their hour of need.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, what you want to make sure is that is a short-term need, and that you can help them in their long-term goal, whatever that might be, and that's where, you know, it's a perfect environment to give advice, support, help in any shape or form.
And one of the things that we're doing is developing accredited qualifications for the people that come and work with us and volunteer, so that when they come to us they can learn those different skills, but then they've got something to take away which is tangible to go off to get a job. And one of the things that we would like some support with is funding that accreditation that we've been working with Cranford Community College, you know, and things like that. We'd like to take that, because we think that in order for the project, you can't be always expecting to be funded from the councils and that sort of thing. We need to develop our own income streams, so we need to have those opportunities. And something like that could be nationally actually exported to help other food banks, their staff, and that should be recognised for what they do.
Yeah, no, that's a great way of looking at it, and there are, you know, quite creative ways of generating income streams.
That's right.
And absolutely happy to help you with that.
Thank you.
To get things done.
A more general question: how's the campaign going? The election campaign, if it started?
Yes, it's now about, I think, 110 days to go. So not that I'm counting. Well, this borough, and certainly my half of the borough, the Brentford and Isleworth bit, is, I think, a really exciting time during election, because it's neck and neck. So it's typically always a Conservative Labour fight, and every vote counts. So if you really want to see democracy in action, it's right here. And that's where I think all political parties, especially myself and my Labour opponent, will be out there on the streets trying to get as many votes as we can, because it absolutely comes down to every last vote.
What about that poll from Lord Ashcroft?
What about the vote?
The poll from Lord Ashcroft.
Yeah, well, I always look at polls in a slightly bemused way, because number one, they're not always accurate, but secondly, if the poll says that I will struggle, then it helps my team work even harder. So it's a good motivation to my team to do even more work. But do you know this? I will constantly say to people, I want people to vote, I want women to vote, because women fought so hard for the vote. If you vote, it's your chance to have a voice. And that's what makes democracy and what we have here so important. So I want everyone to go out there, think about who they want to represent them, and go out there and vote and send them thing.
Will you take part in a local debate?
Definitely. Yeah.
So you're willing to do that? Has anything been arranged?
I don't think anything's been arranged yet. There's certainly nothing in my diary as a sort of hustings. Usually there are a few hustings. So Brentford usually organise one, Chiswick organises one. So I usually go to as many as my diary allows, and we try and get as many candidates there as we can. As yet, as far as I know, it's only myself and the Labour candidate who've declared. But I'm sure there will be other candidates, and they will make themselves known, I am sure, in the weeks to come.